Hello, welcome to Post Colonial Space. I'm Masood Raja, and today I'll talk about a completely non academic but mostly praxis focused topic, and that is the power and price of dissent. Now, I'm defining dissent in simple terms. Dissent is when any time you see an act of injustice or a practice that is unjust, individual or systemic. Dissent is when you raise your voice against it, when you point it out. You can do that as an individual, but also as a part of a collective. An act of dissent always looks at a larger structure, people's actions within them, and points to the injustices within that system. And most of my life, including the one in the military and in academy, I have been a dissenting voice. Now, what it means is not necessarily to confront people unduly or to be rude or even to be in your face. The point is to look at the larger picture, what kind of policies are being made, what kind of statements are being made by those in power, and constantly remind them of their responsibility to the people, to the constituencies that they are supposed to serve. The value of dissent is that when your dissenting voice has entered the discourse of power, whether or not they agree with you or not, it becomes part of their thinking process. Anytime behind closed doors, if they are trying to make a policy, may it be a department policy, institutional policy, if they know that you will object to it even as a single person, but you may carry other people on your side, then they will incorporate that dissent in their decision making. And what that means is that you have already altered how power works, right? Or how the minions of power within a given system work. And I've seen this happen in my own life as well. But there is always a price to pay for dissent, right? Simply because you are right, maybe, or you're standing for someone else's rights or rights of those who are being oppressed doesn't necessarily mean that those in power will, not be mad at you, right? Chances are that you will be isolated, you'll be gaslighted, and when they have the means to harm you or hurt you, people you have challenged will do that. That is the price of dissent. So how do we sustain ourselves? Right? Obviously, no one can change a system alone. But if 10 of us come together, 15 of us come together, and voice our opinions in concert after consultation, then it's not just you. Then you become a constituency. And when you become a constituency, then it's harder to isolate you, harder to hurt you. That is why when you read literature of dissent or revolution, let's say Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, right? Or any of black activist movements, feminists, it is never about individual heroship. Of course, we do valorize and respect the people who have taken a stand against great odds, but it's all about community. That if you are going to add your dissenting voice or your dissenting activity to the projects of power, you have to be part of a solidarity community. And if you do that, then that means that it's not you alone. You have a community of like-minded people alongside you trying to change a system, trying to make it more egalitarian, trying to make it more transparent. Now, one thing that I've learned through hard experience is that sometimes you could be saying the right thing. You could be pointing out to something that is obviously wrong. But what people do is they will make your tone an issue. They would label you unprofessional maybe, or rude, right? And that's one thing that you want to avoid. I'm not trying to say that you should always be apologetic and soft. But what I've learned is that you can accomplish more if you're soft, if you don't shout, but just point out things that need to be corrected, that need to be made better. But overall, as you grow in your professions, you have two major options. One is that you become part of a system and learn how to prosper in it. And that will be at the cost of others sometimes. But also, then that is what you're focused on, building a career and not necessarily changing the system. What you're focused on is being successful within a given system. I'm not saying that is wrong. A lot of people have to do that because of exigencies of life. The other alternative is to still work hard and commit yourself to a job, to a profession, to a career, but also commit to making it better. May it be in academia, may it be in the private sector. And if you choose the second path, which I consider the nobler path, then remember, don't try to do it alone. Build solidarities with others. Bring others along, right? Rely on each other's strengths. And when you see that someone else is being isolated for their dissenting voice, for their dissenting activity, stand beside them, right? In the end, any system that we are in is way more powerful than us as individuals, right? But when we individuals come together for a just cause, for a cause that enables more people, a cause that makes life better for a lot of other people, that there is a lot of power in that. And there's a lot of power in that because you're trying to help people do better in an uneven, unjust system. And you're trying to force the system to become more responsive, more egalitarian, more transparent, more just. So overall, dissent, without it, the world will not develop, it will not change. We always need dissenting voices and dissenting actions to change little things and great things. And the great changes in this world were all brought by people who dissented, challenged the status quo, challenged the norms of knowledge and praxis. Just look at history. So, whose side would you be on? How would you like to be remembered? As someone who worked within a system and rose high without making any difference in anyone's life? Or as someone who tried to change things, who built solidarities, right? And who tried to make life better for more people. So these are some of my scattered thoughts on the subject of dissent. What does it take? And the toll that it might take on you, but the value of it to us individually, but to also the larger cultures and systems in which we exist. That's all. Thank you so much. I hope you're all taking care of each other. The pandemic is still on. Please continue to do so. I will now see you next time with another video on some other topic. Until then, as always, take care. And from me to you, peace and love.